All right. Thank you, everyone who has joined the call, whether you joined via WebEx video link or on the phone. We appreciate you taking out your time, taking time out of your schedule today to talk with us. We are going to get started in just one moment. We're going to attempt to capture attendance of the residents that are on the line. We cannot see the full 10 digits of the telephone number. However, I will call the first 6 digits and unmute you at the same time so that we can make sure that we have record of your participation today. All right. So the first caller I see is 202-445. You're unmuted. Can you provide your first and last name?
Rita Gary.
I'm sorry, you said Rita Gary?
Yeah. You said 445?
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and mute your line back.
Okay.
All right. Next number I see is 202-492.
9128.
Yes, sir. Can I have your first and last name?
Frank Harley. Harley. Frank is my first name.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Harley. I have you covered. I'm going to go ahead and mute your line.
Good man.
Thank you. All right. The next caller I see is 703-454. If you're calling from 703-454 number. I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of feedback in your phone. I can't hear you.
I couldn't understand.
When they get to you, you have to say what your name is and where you live.
Can you tell us your name for the record?
Frank Harley. Harley.
Oh, I have you, Mr. Frank. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and mute your line. All right. This the person calling from a 703-454 number.
What do you hear your phone number? What's your phone number?
We can, yes. Okay, I'm going to come back to you because I'm sorry, it's too much feedback. I'm unable to hear.
Yeah, I think he might be calling in from 2 different phones. I think that might be there's 2 individuals in the same room calling in at the same time, I think.
Okay, sounds like it. Okay. All right, 202-276.
Yes, hi.
Hi, yes. Can I have your first and last name?
Yes, this is Willie Payton.
Willie Bader?
Mr. and Mrs. Payton.
Payton. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Ricky, did you capture that one? Because I'm not seeing that it's coming through. Okay.
Yes, typing it right now.
All right.
Just added it.
Got you. Thank you. All right.
Of course.
All right. I see a 202-222. Your first and last name?
Lark.
Mm-hmm. Lark Jones?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lark Jones.
I think I put that one in. Yeah. All right. I'm starting from the bottom of the numbers now. Mary Kate. Yeah, I have a 443-669.
4390.
Yes, ma'am. Your first and last name?
I'm Rosemary Bush.
Rosemary Bush. Thank you, Miss Bush.
Yes.
All right. And then I have a 202-849. I'm sorry, 202-849. You're unmuted. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute the line.
So I think it might actually be 202-489.
That's Barbara Johnson.
Barbara Johnson, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. You're having a lot of residents join. Sorry, guys. Every time I'm scrolling down to more numbers. All right. Thank you all for your patience. We'll get started just momentarily. Just want to make sure that we're able to capture everyone that is in attendance today. So let's start with 202-594. 202-594, you're unmuted. Can you provide your name? Okay. We will try again with that one. And I have a 240-688.
Tanaka Brown.
Martha Brown.
Tanaka Brown.
Tanaka. Thank you, Ms. Brown. All right, perfect. And then I see a 202-744.
Crystal Nelson.
Crystal Nelson.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nelson. I'm gonna go ahead and mute your line back.
Okay.
Then I see a 202-594. 202-594. Okay, I'm gonna mute that line. 240-707.
Yes, Donna Waters.
Donna Worley. Can you spell your last name for me?
Waters, W-A-T-E-R-S.
Gotcha, Miss Walters. Thank you.
Waters.
Gotcha. Waters.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I mean, not to be disruptive, but I got a neighbor and he don't have a phone, so he's over my house using my my internet.
Okay.
So can he give you his name? Here you go, right here.
Yeah. My name is John Goodwin. I live at 740 Langston Terrace.
John Goodwin. Thank you. We're going to add you to the attendance list, Mr. Goodwin. And thank you for letting us know.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay.
All righty. Back at the top of the telephone numbers, I have a 202-246.
Right here, Robin Sewell Martin.
Robin Sewell Martin.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell Martin. I'm going to go ahead and add you to the attendance list, and I'm going to mute your line until we get started.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And then I have a 202-294.
Yeah, Nelson Brown.
Okay. Nelson Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, I have a 202-971.
Janie Smith, Janie.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. I got you on the attendance log. I'm going to mute your line back.
Thank you.
Thank you. 202-705. 202-705.
That's Robert Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. All right, let's mute your line back. And then I have a 202-905.
Alicia Whitfield.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. I'm going to go ahead and mute your line back. All right, I have a 202-550. 202. I'm sorry, you said Lita Williams?
Sophia.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the Ophelia Williams.
Oh, it's
I get
Sophia, S-O-P-H-I-A.
One moment, I'm sorry, someone just unmuted, so it was a little bit of feedback. Say that for me one more time.
Sophia, S-O-P-H-I-A.
Okay. Williams. Thank you, Miss Sophia Williams. I got you covered. All right. And then a 202-594. Okay, I think we tried that number before. And then I have a 202-560. 202-560.
Carmen,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Can you say it one more time?
Carmen Zapata.
Carmen Zapata. Thank you. I got you covered. I'm gonna go ahead and mute your line back until we get started. All right, perfect. All right, so thank you all again for your patience. Thank you for joining us today. We will go ahead and get started with the presentation. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone, it'll be the same kind of procedure that we did the last go round, where we're asking that you hold all of your questions and comments until the end of the presentation. We will have a brief presentation for you, and then we're asking that, because this is such a large meeting, that you all hold your questions and comments to 2 to 3 minutes. And just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and as was our first engagement, the WebEx link will also be provided to you all and put on the dcha.us website. We'll also be sure to follow up with post-meeting documents to include the Q&A. All right, so again, thank you all for your patience. If you could please be mindful to keep yourselves muted until the end of the presentation so that we all can hear the information being shared, okay? So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Alex.
Thank you very much, LaShawn.
Thank you.
This afternoon, welcome everyone to this Langston Terrace meeting. This is our second meeting to talk about the rental assistance demonstrations project for Langston Terrace. My name is Alex Morris. I'm the Chief of Planning, Design, and Construction at the DC Housing Authority. We're going to be taking you through a brief presentation. It's mostly a repeat of the last meeting we had back in August, but there are some new things that we want to update you on. And without any further ado, I think I'll just go right into it. So we're going to recap the August meeting and then talk about why would we consider it and what are the facts about RAD. We're going to talk about Langston Terrace and Langston Addition as an overview. We're going to talk about the relocation process. We're going to have someone from Resident Services talk about the services that are available through your community navigator. We're going to discuss our resident engagement process and where we've come from to today, and then where we're going from here. Ms. Douglas will talk about our COVID-19 considerations and the procedures we're putting in place as a result of COVID-19 to do our resident engagement. And then we'll talk about next steps. Where do we go from here? DCHA's mission every day is to preserve, manage, and develop quality, affordable housing for extremely low through moderate income households, foster sustainable communities, and cultivate human capital opportunities for residents to improve their lives. Next slide. This is slide number 3. This is our recap from the August meeting. There were some maintenance and work order items that were discussed. Do we have somebody from property management who could take this, or I can read it?
I have this, Mr. Dixon. I have it. The following meeting, property management initiated 14 new work orders. Property management addressed the following. We have 4 mold complaints, a gas leak, smell, humming sound in basement, and toilet repairs. Property management will continue to address these open tickets and ensure resident complaints are addressed. Q&A handouts provided to all residents. To expound on that, with the mold complaints, we're just waiting on contractors to give us bids on the mold complaints. All units have been inspected. If we missed anyone, please make sure that you tell us at the end of this presentation. All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dixon.
You're welcome.
So moving on, slide number 4, if you're following on paper, says why apply for HUD's RAD program, excuse me. So why would we apply for HUD's RAD program? Well, the federal government does not provide enough funding for us to make the improvements that residents of public housing deserve. RAD is an option to allow us to obtain more sustainable funding, choices for public housing, and improve the public housing property by converting it from a Section 9, which is the public housing subsidy, to a Section 8. Section 8 is the project-based voucher subsidy. DCHA currently estimates its capital needs, its unmet capital needs, at just about $2.5 billion. And so we need to find every source of funds we can to try to start chipping away at this $2.5 billion need. The next slide says, why apply for HUD's RAD program? It's slide number 5, I believe. RAD is a HUD program that allows DCHA to fund major building improvements and stabilize federal funding for the future, with no resident displacement, no loss of housing benefits, no change in the rent calculation. It would be calculated at 30% of your adjusted gross income. And that's unless you are paying a flat or ceiling rent. If you're paying a ceiling rent, you can confirm that with your property manager, Mr. Dixon, and we can provide you additional guidance as to what would happen. Basically, what would happen is if you're paying a ceiling rent, there would be an adjustment over a period of years, typically 5 years, during which your rent calculation would be adjusted over time to that 30% of adjusted gross income. Next slide, RAD facts. RAD stands for Rental Assistance Demonstration. It's a HUD program. It was created in 2012 under the Obama administration. HUD crafted this federal program as a response to fill the growing gap between decreasing federal funding and increasing capital needs for public housing. Because federal funding is often not enough to provide for the high upkeep costs of existing properties, RAD allows a public housing authority, like DCHA, to move away from the federal annual contributions contract, that's the public housing subsidy, to a Section 8 housing choice voucher assistance. And it's a project-based voucher assistance, just to be clear. This makes it possible to obtain funding from private and alternative sources to make improvements to the building's capital needs. So how does RAD work? The top of your page should say, how does RAD work? RAD allows the Public Housing Authority to work with partners who want to invest in building improvements. And this could give the DCHA the opportunity to do any of the following things. We could borrow money for improvements. We could seek bond issuance for improvements. We can work with philanthropic partners on improvements. And we can take on development partners or investors in order to help leverage our funds with other private funds. Next slide. What will DCHA do with RAD? Well, in the case of Langston Terrace and Langston Addition, our plan is a full renovation. For those of you who live at Langston Addition, you know that there is already a plan in place, or you may know that there's already a plan in place, to use district funds, District of Columbia government funds, to do the full renovation of Langston Addition. For Langston Terrace, the funding needs are greater, and so we're planning on using the RAD conversion to obtain the funding we need for a full renovation of Langston Terrace. The scope of work in both cases can and will include apartment renovations like new kitchens, bathrooms, and finishes, updated building systems like electrical, plumbing, fire suppression and fire safety systems, and mechanical upgrades like heating and air conditioning. It can include energy efficiency measures to make the buildings more energy efficient. It can include new roofs, windows, and new exterior improvements, such as repointing the brick, painting door frames, replacing doors, things like that. It can and probably will include enhanced community space, and it also can improve building security through cameras, lighting, and other measures. And we're looking for resident feedback for any future building improvements we do at either of the two properties, so we look forward to your feedback on this. Next slide. The nice thing about RAD is a good fit for Langston Additions and Terrace because it's very good with rehab when we're planning to keep the buildings and rehab them. And by rehabbing the buildings, we're able to have the same number of apartments in the rehabbed configuration as there are currently, with the same configuration, the same bedroom mix, and the same layout. The construction can be phased, which means that residents can stay on or close to the site for short-term duration renovation work of 4 to 6 months, and then move back to their unit or to a similar type unit. And in the case of Langston Terrace in addition, revised RAD funding, as I said before, from HUD under Section 8 is a more stable and capable funding source to service future maintenance needs of properties. So now I'd like to just go through the two properties and just get everybody oriented. I'm sure you know where you live, but we'll just walk through it a little quickly. On this slide, excuse me, you will see an aerial photograph, and it shows the two properties. At the bottom of the image is Benning Road Northeast. And then you can see H Street Northeast running horizontally between Langston Terrace and Langston Addition. And then 21st Street is on the left. And then you can see the two property descriptions here. Langston Addition was built in 1965. It has 34 units total, 27 3-bedroom and 7 4-bedrooms. And then Langston Terrace is a much larger site. It was started in 1937. It has a total of 274 units with a broader range of bedroom mix from 2-bedroom to 5-bedroom units. So I mentioned before that Langston Addition, this is slide 11. Langston Addition, we already have money from the District of Columbia to do work. Those of you who live at Langston Addition or who have watched the work being done starting last winter will notice that the roofs on all 5 buildings were replaced in the winter of 2019 to 20. And we jetted out all the sewer lines in those buildings so that they flow freely. And we are currently undertaking the rehabilitation of apartments building by building from 21st Street on the north all the way around to H Street. And we're also making, in addition to the rehabilitation of the physical apartments, we're also making a similar investment to the mechanical and electrical systems at Langston Addition with something called ESIP money, which is another pot of money we have to do full air conditioning and heating systems in the buildings, as well as replacing the electrical systems. So all this work is underway. The phase 1 of Langston Addition has been delayed slightly due to permitting issues, but we're hoping to start that very soon. On this next slide, slide 12, you'll see a site plan of Langston Addition. Our property site plan, just to get oriented, 21st Street Northeast is on the left and 8th Street Northeast is on the bottom. The building in blue, building A, it's labeled as A, is phase 1. And that building has been recently vacated. Our mobility team has moved 4 families out of this 6-unit building. And that's our phase 1. We're waiting on permits to get started on that building, and we'll start gut rehabbing that entire building, including new mechanical and electrical. In about 6 months after we start that building, we'll be able to roll into building B, which is the yellow building farther down on 21st Street, and then keep going around the corner onto H Street with the building that's beige here, C1. And then about 6 months after that, building D in green, and then finally building C2 in purple. So we're going to work our way all the way around in about 2 to 2.5 years around all of those buildings. And if we can accelerate that schedule, we will. Once we get started, we'll know more about how fast it'll take. At Langston Terrace, we've also made some improvements. We made LED lighting and water saving improvements in 2019. And we've also just recently, this isn't on the slide, but we've also recently been making camera and lighting upgrades around the property in order to make sure that the site is safe. So you may have noticed electrical crews out doing security camera and lighting work around Langston Terrace. Next slide. This one says, what are my rights as a resident? So just to restate what we said before, your rights under RAD as a resident are a guaranteed right of return with no rescreening. There will be no rescreening when you come back into the converted property. There are full relocation assistance benefits available if you need to move temporarily during construction, which you probably will. And we will pay for the mover, we'll pay for the packing, we'll pay for any utility transfers for cable TV or dish or Wi-Fi or phone or anything like that that you need. After conversion, your resident council will be funded in the same way, and resident rent will be still based on 30% of your adjusted income. Again, with the exception of if you're paying a ceiling rent. If you're paying a ceiling rent, then please make note of that with your property manager. They can confirm that, and then we can talk with you separately about what that means as an adjustment over time. Now I'd like to turn it over to our mobility team to talk about the relocation process. LaShawn, do we have somebody on from mobility?
Yes, we should. Let me double check the list.
Okay.
Katrina is on.
Good afternoon, Katrina. Would you like to take that? Okay.
I'm sorry, everyone. I have several WebExes going on at the same time. So, good afternoon, Langston Editions. My name is Katrina Jeter. Some of you have already met me or seen me on site assisting. So today we're going to talk about how the relocation team will assist you through this process. As you will be required to temporarily vacate your unit so that we can complete the repairs and upgrades, DCHA's relocation team will work in partnership with residents about future development and relocation plans, which includes informing residents of phasing and scheduled move dates. All that is saying is, as your time approaches for your unit or your building to get repaired, we will let you know far in advance, hey, it's time to get ready. We'll do a survey with each household. So after the renovation schedules are finalized and impacted residents have been informed of the upcoming moving dates, DCHA relocations team completes relocation surveys to assess special needs and circumstances. During the survey, we find out specific needs about your household. Are there any physical limitations? Do you need assistance packing? Are you planning to downsize or declutter? How can we coordinate those activities with property management? Do you have doctor's appointments on special days that we may need to work around their schedule? Those are the types of questions that we're going to be asking during the survey so we can make sure that we best accommodate each household. Number 3, DCHA's relocation team. We're going to work with each household to prepare for the relocation, provide the necessary packing materials, and notify you of the upcoming move dates. And as they approach, we'll continue to remind you to get ready, and we'll continue to remind you about the steps of relocation. And if you require packing assistance, we'll update you on all of that scheduling for that activity. Number 4, DCHA's relocation team will be present on the day of your move to supervise activity and ensure all relocation needs are satisfied. So we'll be there when this activity is happening. We'll make sure that everything is moved from point A to point B safely and efficiently. We'll make sure that you, if necessary, any guidance or assistance you need, and reminding you about transferring your utility service, your services like cable, internet, things like that, and assist you through that if you need that as well. So we'll be there to walk you through every step of the process to support you in anything that you need, have questions on, or any problems that may arise, which we don't expect. Number 5, DCHA's relocation team will hire a quality moving company to move families. And services that the movers will provide, including moving the household belongings, dismantling and reassembling of your furniture, and packing assistance if applicable. Again, that we try to reserve that assistance for our senior and disabled residents who may have physical limitations that prohibit them or their family members with getting their own units ready. And finally, DCHA's relocation team will relocate families from current units to temporary or permanent units where applicable, and will pay your relocation costs. So no, you shouldn't pay any costs for transfer fees, packing materials, any of that. All of that is covered by the Housing Authority. And then we'll stay in touch with your families to advise you of when it's time to return, when it's time to get ready, and assist you in preparing to come back to your original units. So thank you for your time today, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jeter. Next, I'd like to welcome a representative of our Office of Resident Services to introduce your community navigator and talk about programs that are available.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joseph Nelson, and I am the Rent Reporting and Credit Building Specialist under the Family Self-Sufficiency, which is a part of our Office of Resident Services. I'm here to give a brief overview of the in-house services that Office of Resident Services offers. There's a couple main features I want to talk about, one being the Workforce Development, WDI, and the Family Self-Sufficiency Group, which is FSS. On our workforce development at the Southwest Enhancement Center, there we do intake assessments, job development orientation, special employment training, employment, and Section 3. Financial literacy is a big part of our programs where we engage residents with webinars that addresses the importance of financial decisions and understanding the building blocks of financial stability. With our family self-sufficiency group, we offer the following pathway incentives: education, employment, and home ownership. We provide case management assigned to a FSS coordinator, referral services on credit counseling, financial literacy, employment services, and as I mentioned, home ownership preparation. FSS is a 5 to 7 year program with goals and incentives with completion of the program. So eligible residents are required to complete an application and orientation with their coordinator and complete the contractual agreement into the FSS program. We are currently enrolling for our pathway incentive for home ownership. Some of our other referral partners, such as Lydia House, Housing Counseling Services, Latino Economics, these are partner services available to our residents, especially seeking to become homeowners. Providing webinars that address credit counseling, budgeting, home ownership, preparation, and much more. At this time, because of COVID-19, we value your safety along with the safety of our presenters. So we're primarily doing virtual classes and presentations to engage our residents with resourceful information. And new to the FSS program, I'd like to mention that we just launched the new rent reporting and credit building, which I am the specialist. We particularly Langston Terrace is a part of our 10 selected properties. And the program itself provides residents with a one-time monthly rental payment opportunity to build credit while they're paying their rent. The rent is reported to all 3 credit bureaus. And as I mentioned, Langston Terrace, if you are interested, you are part of the selected property. And during COVID-19, we know how important having good credit, or credit really, to buy goods and services. There are places that only accept credit or debit cards for food, transportation, and other essentials. So we know the importance of having credit, especially because of the pandemic. Your community navigators are the feet on the ground representatives in the community, and through outreach, residents are educated about property updates and other resources. If you're interested in any of these services, please contact your community navigator directly or email your request to Julian Wilson. His number there is 202-734-8602. And Mr. Wilson's email is jcwilson@dchousing.org. And thank you for your time and attention. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We only have a few more slides, so we'll be done in a minute. So the RAD resident engagement process, which we're now engaging with you in, we wanted to walk you through that and tell you where we are in the process and where we go from here. So in the portion prior to submitting an application to HUD for what's called a CHAP, which is a commitment to a housing assistance payment, that's where we are in that first paragraph. Prior to submitting an application to HUD, DCHA provides residents with a resident information notice. It's called a RIN, R-I-N, to convey general written information on potential project plans and basic resident rights under RAD. You should now all be in possession of your RIN, your resident information notice. DCHA conducts at least 2 resident meetings prior to applying for the CHAP, the CHAP, the commitment to a housing assistance payment. This is the second of our 2 resident meetings prior to applying, but there's more steps involved than that. I'd also like to back up and say that if you think you haven't received your resident information notice, or if it got thrown away or lost and you need one, please let us know and we can provide you with a replacement. You can tell us in the Q&A or in the chat. So after we do the second resident meeting, then what happens? Well, then what happens is DCHA brings a resolution to our Board of Commissioners to vote to approve or disapprove the submission of that RAD application to HUD. And when we do that, DCHA will submit to HUD, along with the application, a written summary of all of your comments and questions and our responses to your comments and questions. So everything that you say here tonight and everything you said before is going to get all written down. You're going to get a copy of your questions and the answers we provide, and we're going to submit that to HUD, so it's a public record. Okay. If we get the CHAP, which is that commitment to a housing assistance payment, then there will be additional meetings in the future. DCHA will have to hold 2 additional meetings, one resident meeting after HUD awards the CHAP, which might be sometime next year, and then another resident meeting before DCHA submits our next step, which is a financing plan to HUD. The financing plan would be our plan for how we're going to pay for the improvements, what sources of money we're going to use and what they're going to cost, and how we're going to operate the project long term to make sure that it stays in a good state of repair and is managed well. So we also may need other meetings along the way if we change our plans, or if the DCHA requires more time to get to the next step with HUD, which is the closing and conversion. So if the time frame goes too long, we'll meet with you again, or if we change our plans for the property for some reason. All along this process, DCHA commits to ensure effective communication for persons with disabilities and language barriers. This means making meetings accessible to people with various types of disabilities that might limit communication, and DCHA complies fully with the DC language access laws. I'd like to turn it over to Ms. LaShawn to talk about COVID-19.
Thanks, Alex. We want to just thank you all again for joining our virtual meeting today. As we stated before, we would have loved to hold these meetings in person, but due to the current COVID-19 pandemic and the emergency order enacted on DC, we are unable to hold large gatherings of this size. So we just want to make sure that you all know that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that we have multiple touch points and that this process is going as smoothly as possible. We're making sure to maintain an attendance log for the residents that we will submit to HUD. We also are making sure that we are accommodating those with limited English proficiency needs, and also complying with ADA in terms of making sure that we are accommodating those with vision and hearing impairments. We will do our best to make sure that we follow up in a timely manner with any meeting documents that we get to you. We're asking that you all allow about 2 to 3 weeks for the Q&A following this particular engagement, but in the interim, we will have this recording available on the dcha.us website, as well as electronic copies of the presentation and any other materials, including the RIN notice. You should have also received a call before this meeting, and then if there is a need for follow-up after this meeting, you may also receive a call from one of our departments within the DCHA staff. And I think with that, that's it. Alex will come to you with the next steps.
Thank you very much, LaShawn.
Thank you.
So our last slide, and then we'll go to questions and answers. What are the next steps on this process? So first of all, what can you expect from us? As I said, residents will receive written answers to any questions posed before and at this meeting. You can visit www.dcha.us/Langston to view any of these meeting materials and recording of this meeting. For any property-specific questions, please always contact Mr. Albert Dixon, your property manager, at edixon, EDIXON at dchousing.org, or his phone number 202-724-8506. If you have any relocation questions, please contact Katrina Jeter at kjeter@dchousing.org, or her phone number 202-926-7004. And furthermore, if you have any questions about the transformation plan or questions with RAD that are of a general nature, you can always call our transformation plan hotline at 202-996-8526, or you can send an email to transformationplan@dchousing.org. I'll place all this information into the chat so that those of you watching can see it as part of the recording. And thank you very much for listening to us. We look forward to working with you on this important initiative. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Ms. LaShawn, and we can start questions. Thank you.
How you doing?
Thank you. One moment. We're going to call names for the question and answer period. So if you just give us a minute, we're going to call each of you by name.
Okay, I just want to give a name because I believe I missed out on a number when you was calling it.
Okay, go ahead.
Alicia Roger, and I was calling from 703-454-4666.
Probably give the whole number because it's a recorded meeting, but we got you, Miss Roger.
Alicia Roger.
Okay. Thank you. And this is, you're calling from Lorraine. Are you calling from your own line or someone else's line?
IF's line, Miss Lorraine.
Okay, so when I call on Miss Lorraine, I'll just be sure if you have any questions, you can jump in there with Miss Lorraine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes, sir.
This is the alternate hall guy. I was here at 305, but I didn't hear my number called. I'm sorry.
I got you. I see. You know what? And I meant to make that note that if I see your name, I'm not going to call it because I do see it already. So thank you, Mr. Hubbard.
Thank you.
So yeah, so if I see your name on the participant list, I'm not going to call your name. It's just for those who are calling from either a mobile phone or landline that I cannot see a name where you didn't have an opportunity to put in your name. So really quickly, I'm going to grab, Mary Kate and I are going to grab your names so that we can make sure that we have everybody, and then we'll go one by one to go through the call list to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask questions or to provide comment. Okay, so let's just get started with just trying to grab names. So I'm going to read the first 6 digits of your telephone number, and if you could just, I'll unmute you, and if you could just let me know your first and last name, I'll jot that down. Thank you. All right, 202-594. If your number begins with 202-594, are you there? All right. 202-413. If your number begins with 202-413, you're unmuted.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Can you provide us your name?
Terry Wooden.
Terry Wooder?
Wooden.
Wooden, got it. Thank you, Miss Wooden. All right, and then I have a 202-506.
Charlene Dorsey.
Thank you, Miss Dorsey.
Dorsey.
Thank you, Miss Dorsey. I got you.
All right.
202-460.
That's Alan Coles.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Alan Coles.
Coles. Okay, got it. Thank you. Mute that line. 202-758.
Janice Gavin.
I'm sorry. Hey, Mary Kate, did you get that? I can't hear you, Mary Kate. I'm sorry, but was it Gavin?
Yes.
Okay, first name?
Janice.
Janice. Thank you. Janice Gavin. All right, and then I have a 202-815.
Desiree Page.
Desiree Page. Thank you, ma'am. And then I have a 202-821.
Lisa West.
Lakeisha West.
Lisa, L-I-S-A.
Thank you, L-I-S-A. West. I got you. Thank you.
LaShawn, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can, Mary Kate.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. I think I had myself double muted, so I'm back.
No worries. I think we got everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the top of the cost list, at top of the participant list. And if you're DCHA, I'm sorry, I know it's a few DCHA folks on that I don't recognize the names. Just let me know your DCHA, okay? So first I have Alan Coles. Any questions or comments?
Only question, hey, I got a question. My only question is, can we switch from DCHA to Section 8? Is it possible?
Are you asking if you can get a voucher?
That's what I'm asking, yes.
Okay, right. So the RAD conversion does not come with a tenant voucher. There's two types of vouchers, basically. There are ones that you have as yours, as your tenant voucher, and there's the type that go to the project, which is a project-based voucher. The RAD conversion comes with a project-based voucher for the building. So you don't get a voucher. One interesting note is that after about a year after we convert the property, you can request a voucher, but that voucher has to be based upon availability. It doesn't come from HUD as an extra thing that for us, it has to be something that we have. And there's no guarantee we'll have those available after we convert.
Even for medical reasons?
Medical reasons, if you need a transfer, we can provide transfers, but there's a different process for that. So if you're requesting a transfer out of the property for some reason based on a medical, don't tell us what it is. We don't need to share that publicly, but
Who do I get in touch with to get this information?
I think, LaShawn, I believe property management is the first step, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So maybe Albert Dixon. Mr. Dixon's on the line. Do you want to?
Mr. Coles, what you need to do is just give me a call in the office, and then I can explain the process of the reasonable accommodation and everything else.
Very good. I'll do that.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coles. Thank you, Mr. Dixon.
Thank you for your question.
All right, next question I have is from Alan Harrison. Any questions or comments?
I'm just trying to find out when they're gonna. I know they said they're gonna be doing it real soon, so there's a lot of stuff going on in my house with the mold and stuff. So I'm hoping they do it soon, so I can get out of here and do something. I have a lot of mold in here, and it's infecting my body.
Okay. Mr. Dixon, would you be able to follow up Mr. Harrison regarding his mold issue?
Yeah, we've actually been in there, but I'll follow up with Mr. Harrison further on that.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Harrison, any other comment or question related?
No, man, that's it. That's all I need to find out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Angelina Chambers?
Yes.
We always share, you know.
You have a question or comment?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Cabinet, Tammy, in case you're not here, she's not here.
Okay. Barbara Johnson, any questions or comments?
Yes, I got a question for Mr. Dixon. Now, y'all, I'm talking about the mold, plus I have lead in my apartment, too. It's not only mold, it's lead, too. So, what's the answer for that?
I'll start that answer. We're aware of the lead paint issue at Langston Terrace. Langston Terrace is the oldest property in our portfolio. And in the 1930s, they painted everything with lead-based paint. So it's definitely underneath other layers of paint. And we are working on an abatement plan for Langston Terrace to abate those conditions. And we are trying to get that rolled out this year. If you have a mold concern, a specific mold concern, you should refer that to your property manager, Mr. Albert Dixon, and ask for them to come out and look at your situation. The lead issue we're working on.
Okay.
If anyone else would like to take that.
Okay, Ms. Johnson, did you have any other questions or comments?
No, I don't have no other questions or comments. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have now Mr. Billy Casey. Questions or comments?
Yes. Hi, my name is Billy Casey. I have a relative who would like to ask questions via my device, if that's okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Here she is, Miss Constance Casey.
Constance Casey. Thank you.
Yes. First of all, I wanted to make a comment on the REN that Mr. Garrett sent about the RAD program. And it says here that RAD is a voluntary program run by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. My question is, if RAD is a voluntary program, are HUD and D.C. Housing Authority asking the tenants of Langston to volunteer for this program, or is the owner of the property the one that's volunteering for the RAD application?
I'll take that. DCHA is volunteering to participate in the RAD program, proposing to convert several properties, including Langston Terrace and Langston Additions. We're volunteering to do that to HUD. And part of that is a consultation with residents and approval by our Board of Commissioners to advance that application to HUD. So if you're wondering, do you have a say in this? Yes, of course you do. We're talking with you today. We've spoken to you at other points, and you can always let your property manager and your resident leadership know, and they can let the feelings be known to the board, and we will have that conversation. But yes, we are looking to do this at Langston Terrace, Langston Additions, and several other properties, because with public housing, we don't have enough resources in our capital and operating fund to address all the capital needs of our properties. And we need to change the subsidy to Section 8 in order to put the property back on a good footing. Does that answer your question?
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, somewhat. I have another comment, and I just have a few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for the amount of information that you guys provided with the package that you sent us, the REN from Mr. Garrett, along with the RAD overview, and the DC Housing Authority priorities, do you think it's really fair that for this amount of information that you're giving us as tenants, this second meeting, I'm presuming that you guys are going to go ahead and submit your application. Am I correct?
So let me go back and talk about the process again. So this is our second of 2 required meetings prior to us going to the board to ask for permission to do this. So the next step would be at a future board meeting, we would bring an application to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
They can approve it, they can disapprove it, they can table it, they can do anything that they wish. And the burden is on us as DCHA staff to make the case that this is an important thing that we need to do. So at that point, you as residents, if you have concerns or you feel like you haven't had enough time to absorb all this or you need more information, you need to make those feelings known to us at these meetings, and also, if necessary, to your resident leadership and to the board.
Okay. My next question is, you're asking us to go with the project-based voucher.
Mm-hmm.
And you send quite a bit of information about RAD, what you want to do, which is very explainable. You want to convert the property, get it up to par and everything.
Right.
I have never received or never experienced a Section 8 voucher. So therefore, you're giving me more information about the program, and I would be more comfortable with knowing what does and what entails Section 8 in comparison to public housing, not dealing with conversion or anything.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out, do I have the tenant property protection, the TBV, I think it is, tenant property voucher under public housing? What am I gaining with Section 8? I don't know anything about Section 8. I've been to your meetings down 1133. I've seen the interviews on TV with people that have Section 8 vouchers, and some of those people have come with serious issues not being able to get housing. So my question to that as well, if I can just finish, please, if you're asking me to go with this project-based voucher, is this a rent program, a new rental program that says, hey, Miss Casey, you go with this, we can convert your property, and I need to know, will that voucher allow me to be here on this property, say, for the next 20 years? How does it affect if you do all this converting and then you got new electrical systems? Langston is not up to code. So you're going to give me all of this, and you're not asking me to, you're not going to raise my rent or anything like that?
That's correct.
And then
We're not going to raise.
on disability?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work?
So let me go back through this again. So the type of voucher you're probably thinking of is what's called a tenant voucher, where if someone takes a voucher and they have a tenant voucher, they can go to a private landlord and take that thing and bring it to them, and that pays part of the rent, and you pay the portion you can afford to pay, and the voucher pays the rest. That's what we call a tenant-based voucher, where you go out and you do that. What we're not talking about that. We're talking about a project-based voucher. And so project-based voucher subsidy for you as a resident of Langston Terrace will not really look that different than what public housing is. If you're paying 30% of your adjusted gross income via rent or income verification now, you're going to pay that same amount under Section 8 because it's a project-based voucher. The property manager will still be a DCHA employee. All the maintenance people will be DCHA employees. The property will operate much the way it does today. The one difference is that in order for us to receive this subsidy from HUD, we have to transfer the property to an entity that we set up, which might be called something like Langston General Partnership, something like that. And what that would be is it would be DCHA as an owner, maybe with a partner developer, and we would set up the general partnership, and you would be paying rent to that, and then that money would be coming back to the DC Housing Authority. But from an off-ground standpoint, you wouldn't really see a lot of difference from day to day in your everyday life.
Right.
And you do have the right to, so.
Yeah. Okay. So I understand. I'm reading your right to return and all of that.
Right.
So my question is, so then pretty much Langston becomes privatized.
What happens is Langston becomes converted from public housing to a project-based Section 8 property. And DCHA will continue to own the land underneath the buildings, but we may partner with a developer who can bring us additional resources, funding, loan equity, and other skills and resources to help us do the renovation and phase it and get it right. But ultimately, we maintain the ownership of the ground underneath. And so there's not, if you're concerned about privatization, I want to know a little more about what your concern is about privatization, aside from just the word. What are your concerns about that?
Okay, my concerns is, okay, you have a major developer come in and allocate you guys millions of dollars to help do the conversion.
Okay.
How much leverage do they have? What say-so do they have concerning this property, concerning tenants and all the other things that go with it?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're gonna look to do an RFQ, which is called a request for qualifications for developers for this property, because we need the capacity and support to be able to do this from a developer. And into that document, we can place qualification requirements, like, for instance, that we have to be a certain percentage owner in the deal, and that we have to provide our own management on site. And then the developers that propose on that deal have to respond to that and agree to those conditions. That's what we're kind of talking about here. Is we want to maintain the management and maintenance of the site and ownership on the ground, but we need the additional investment to do the improvements.
Right. Which I understand, because look, I see a lot of development going on around Langston. There's a lot, and these developments are not for poor people. Okay, The rent
Right.
is high. I mean, the Jacob across the street that's being built, that rent is pretty significant, along with the AVAC and what's going on down further by Benning Road and all that. So we see, a lot of gentrification that's going on in this community, in other words.
Right.
Because I don't want to hold out. I know other people want to ask questions. But my other concern is this, about this voucher. You all would have to put guidelines in that say, hey, you have a right to return, and maybe in the process of 5 to 10 years, rent may be the same. How does it change according to the years? Is residency a guarantee for the next 20 years under this project-based voucher?
So I think I can address your question about the duration of time. So the housing assistance payment contract duration typically is 20 years. So if you're wondering about, can I be here for the next 20 years? The answer is yes. And in terms of the question about the rent, can the rent go up or change on me, or the rules of the lease change on me? The answer is no, because you have the guaranteed right to return without a rescreening process. You're not going to be re-screened to go back into the property. And your rent calculated based on 30% of your adjusted income, just like it is today.
Right. All right. So what happens to the historical value? Does it still remain historical?
Oh yeah.
Under this new conversion?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's a city and national landmark. So it doesn't change the status of the landmark status of the property. And when we do this renovation, we're going to do it to historic standards. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be beautiful, because it's going to be like it was new in 1938 when it was built. And but the difference is the inside will be new like it's new today. It'll be up to code. It will be up to modern standards for housing, because we'll renovate and gut the entire inside. We're looking to put in central air conditioning and better heating systems, so everything will function better. It's going to cost a lot to do that. And the reason we're proposing this is because we don't have the resources to do Langston Terrace without this additional, ability to convert with RAD. And if we do it, we can do other things, and we can bring in additional resources. That's why we're doing it.
All right. Okay, because I'm just looking at, the historical value and the purpose behind the building of it. It was built for the ancestors of slaves and for poor Black folk. Will the people that's on the waiting list for housing, will they have a chance to participate and get a unit on this property?
Andrea,
Alex, if you want me to take that?
Sure.
So,
sure.
Hi. So, on a right to return. After all the residents have returned, we will be looking at the waiting list for any vacancies, for other transfers within the Housing Authority portfolio, as well as waiting lists. But that's after.
I think your sound's breaking up a little bit.
Please?
Yes,
we're breaking
LATs that occur. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me try it again.
You're...
So to answer the question, the first priority, can you?
We can hear you. Actually, it sounds like you just
priority as we've.
It's choppy.
Okay. Sorry. We'll include it in the written response.
Yeah, I think I can paraphrase what you said, Andrea, and jump in if I go off track. What Andrea said is that once we bring everyone back to the property, you're actually not going to, in likelihood, leave the property. There's a fair amount of vacant units at Langston, and one of the things we're looking to do as part of this process is to fix a lot of those vacant units and get them back to living standards, so that you can move temporarily to a unit and go back either to your original unit or to another similar unit that's been fully renovated. When we do the first phase, we may not be able to do the whole renovation job, but we'll at least make it decent, right? And so you're probably in likelihood not going to even leave the property. You're just going to move to a different apartment for about 6 months or so. And then as Ms. Powell said, once we get everybody back into where they need to be, once you go back to your fully renovated apartment, there's still going to be the vacant ones. And then we'll open up the waiting list or look at transfers from other properties for people that want to come back to Langston or come into Langston.
Yeah,
There's a
okay.
process of the right, people have different levels of priority of right to come back. And then the waiting list is probably the last group we would open that and then fill whatever available vacancies there are.
Okay. Well, what I would really like from Housing Authority, again, because I've never been a Section 8 voucher holder. I don't have a clue what it means. I mean, I know it's a voucher for housing, but I really would like to know in complete detail what it's about, what am I gaining, what am I losing from leaving public housing, just the whole works of that. The other question is, when was RAD implemented with housing? When did this program begin to be created?
Program got started.
And also, because I want to kind of finish up so some other people can answer, about RAD, when was that implemented from housing, from HUD, and is it DC Housing Authority's goal to pretty much convert the rest of public housing in the city and possibly, I don't know, throughout the country to RAD?
Those were like 4 questions. I'll take the first one and then just go as I go.
Okay, I'm sorry about
so
that.
That's okay. No, it's fine. So the first question, I think the first question you had was, when did this thing get started? So at HUD level, the RAD program was put in as a demonstration program in 2012, about 8 years ago. And it was started under the Obama administration at HUD. And it was a policy change, and it was partly due to some housing authorities, large
Okay.
getting the same kind of payments that private landlords were getting for the same work. We had to operate a building, and we couldn't have the same terms that the private landlords were getting. And so what HUD did is they allowed us, they didn't want to give us more money, but what they did is they gave us more flexibility by converting public housing to project-based Section 8.
Like Dr. Cape and Ella Wilson?
I don't know. I don't know how those operate. So someone who has some historical-
those are mixed finance, public house. They're mixed finance, so it's a little different.
Yeah. So we already did a conversion that we can, a couple actually, that we can cite for you. One of them is Colorado and Columbia, 2 buildings that we converted, and we continue to own and manage them and maintain them. They're converted through the RAD program to project-based Section 8. And they operate just like our other buildings. And this is going to be similar. But and there were a couple others, Andrea, that were prior to my memory.
And just in the interest of time, are we able to, I know we've recorded Ms. Casey's questions. Are we able to just respond to those with the Q&A? Because we've got about several other.
I know. So what? Okay.
I'm sorry, you have very interesting questions, and I kind of want to just keep going, but I think.
Yeah, because I have some more questions, but look, other people want to get on and have what they need to say, and I want to respect that. So what I'll do is I'll send my questions to the transformation plan people, and really look forward to a response back concerning the questions about the additions. Have they been implemented all their money? And we're just waiting for you guys to get something for the terrorists now, and things of that nature. Okay.
Sure. Please send us all your questions.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Casey. You have the transformation plan line email address.
Yes, I do.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. I have Ms. Carmen Zapata.
I don't have no questions.
No questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a Catherine Bonner.
Okay.
Can you hear me? I'm going to speak on her behalf. My name is Cynthia Bonnerwood.
Yes.
Okay, because she has a landline and I'm calling from work. I was about to hang up, but I have a few minutes. Anyway, I didn't really have any questions for her at this point because she didn't make the first meeting. We making this meeting right here. I guess if I had any concerns, I would like to do some reading on the slides. I heard you say earlier you guys had there was some slides being posted somewhere on the
Yes.
server.
Yes, it's
And if I could-
dcha.us.
Okay, say that once more.
dcha.us.
DCHA.
.us.
.us.
Yeah,
Okay,
and when you go to the page, you'll see all of the properties, and you just click on Langston Terrace, and you can actually see the first meeting, and you'll see all of the documents that we provided to residents.
Okay, I do thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Charlene Dorsey, questions or comments?
No, everything okay with me. You know, I had well, put it like this. I had to call for 2 work orders for my apartment, but everything is straight, so no comments. I'm
All right.
fine with that.
Thank you, Miss Dorsey.
All right.
All right, Miss Casey, we got you. So I see Miss Crystal Nelson. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have comments. Okay. Right now we are dealing with a rodent problem, and I went to Mr. Dixon maybe about a month or 2 ago to explain to Mr. Dixon that we got holes popping up on our property and there's rats in the property. And the response that I got from Mr. Dixon is there are holes all over the property, which I was expecting for a manager to say, well, Ms. Nelson, you know, let me check into it so I can get the exterminator out to fix the problem. Because right now they do keep up the property real nice, cutting grass, but you can see the holes and there's rats everywhere. And I would like for him to send the exterminator out to be able to pull the holes out. I don't live all over the property. And for him to say that, I did not like that. And I like Mr. Dixon, and I know he's on here, but at the end of the day, I need for my manager to care about the tenants that are on the property, especially when I go to him, let him know that we have problems with outsiders coming in our building, defecating and urinating in our hallway. And I think that we need to be more protected and more secluded and secure with our building being locked. And so we wouldn't have to deal with that walking outside of our apartment with people sleeping in the hallway. And then every time we close the windows in the hallway to keep the flies out, the homeless people come right back, open it up. Now the hallways is swarming with flies. I go to Mr. Dixon with these concerns so Mr. Dixon can go to the upper people with the concerns so they can address it and see how they can help us and help us find a solution for these problems that we have. And also that I have lead in my apartment, and I had mold. I went to Mr. Dixon about that. He told me to spray it with something, which I did, but it comes back. I shouldn't have to keep spraying something. I need someone to come out here and check the bathroom for mold. That's it. I mean, like I said, I like Mr. Dixon, but when I go to Mr. Dixon with concerns, I want him to really show that he cares about the tenants, and he's going to make sure that he addressed the concerns that me and other people come to him about with the other management team that works for us. Without him giving me these crazy, just outrageous answer and response that make me want to get livid at the time, but I don't. Because, again, I like Mr. Dixon. I like going down there and visiting him and everything, but I need him to respond in a better way that he does when I go to him about certain concerns on this property. Also, we got people living on the property, subleasing their property out. The other folks, they got all these dogs around here. They're using the bathroom on the property. I done told Mr. Dixon that. People have walked in some poop. But if people come...
Miss Nelson, I think we... Ms. Nelson, I think we have Mr. Pitt and Mr. Dixon on the line that are going to respond to some of your concerns, okay?
Ms. Nelson, this is Chris Pitt.
Yes,
we spoke yesterday, correct?
No, I didn't talk to you yesterday. I haven't spoken to you yesterday.
You didn't speak. You spoke to Chris Pitt yesterday,
I'm sorry.
correct?
I thought that was Mr. Dixon talking. No, I just wanted to put that out.
Yes, we did spoke yesterday, but I also wanted
Yeah,
to say that
so
out in the meeting. And
okay,
don't tell me
so
I
we talked about so we talked about all
okay.
these issues yesterday. I understand you want to voice them today, but we are all working on all the concerns you just had. And like I said, I just want to make sure everybody know we spoke yesterday.
Oh yeah, you and I had spoken, me and Ms. Barbara had spoke, but I also wanted
Okay.
Mr. Dixon to hear what I just said and what I had my concerns about. That's all.
Okay.
And
I
I'm
relate that message. All right. Thank you.
uh-huh.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nelson, and thank you, Mr. Pitt. I know that you'll be addressing those concerns, so thank you. All right, we have Ms. Cynthia Tolson. Ms.
Hello?
Tolson. Yes, ma'am.
I just had one question, and it has something to do basically what Ms. Casey was asking. The project-based voucher, is that something you have to apply for, or that just automatic? Because he explained the project-based voucher is different from the tenant-based voucher. So
Right. Alex.
So, right. So the project-based voucher is the funding we get once we apply, DCHA applies to HUD to convert the property from public housing to project-based Section 8. That's how we get that. We apply to HUD, and then we go through a process with HUD where we engage with you, we explain the process, we get board permission to make the application, and we financing plan to explain to HUD and demonstrate how we're going to operate. So,
it's nothing that the tenant does. Okay. Okay, that answers my question.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tolson. All right, Doris Page. Ms. Page, you're unmuted. Do you have any questions or comments?
Okay.
I'm sorry, was that a no?
Hi, my name is Mr. Ryan Westfield, and I just had just a few questions and all of that. I come with peace and I'm gonna leave it.
Okay.
I just have a problem, like when I come out my door, leakage in my building. I live in building 2200. It'd be a puddle of water. Now, I'm not young now, but I'm getting old, and I don't want to slip or fall or nothing. So I just want them to address that. And then in my bathroom, like, it's mold in all these apartments. We understand that. Well, I understand it. Right. And I want that to be addressed. And since it's COVID and stuff like that, my schedule be changing out, because I'm going to be at voting sites and stuff like that. They going to have me working around the city. And because I do outreach work and all that. So my question is, I'm going to put in a ticket because I don't have time sometimes to follow up on different stuff because they have me doing a lot of stuff in the city. And so I just put in a ticket, but I just really want that matter to be addressed when I come home. It'd be a puddle of water. It's only there when it rains. And that's
I can
it.
answer that question. Hi, Ms. Winsfield. This is Chris.
How you doing, Mr.
I'm doing good. So, two things. We're putting in work order about the water puddle. This first time I'm hearing about it. Well, as far as the mold, we're being proactive with mold, and we're actually going to inspect pretty much the majority of all units at Langston. So we're already actively doing that. So I'm sure we'll be coming up to you.
Love you, Mr. Dixon.
All right, thank you, Ms. Westfield. And for those, we are getting through the participant list. So if you just bear with us as we come, we'll call out your name so that you can have the floor. And as Mr. Pitt said, I'll just restate it that if you have a concern about a mold issue, that he said that they are going to be looking at all the units in Langston. So just wanted to reiterate that if that is your concern, you can let Mr. Dixon or Mr. Pitt know outside of this time. Ms. Page, I think I called on you. Did you have any questions or comments? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Doris Wesley, any questions or comments?
No, there isn't. No.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hardesty, any questions or comments?
Ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Elgin.
I don't have any questions. I think it was Ms. Casey that covered the question area real well. But I do have a comment, if I may. I think there is a grand idea for DCHA to have these meetings, and even in this virtual mode. I want to thank you all for that, because, and the information that has been circulated, that's very informative, because I, along with some others, have been confused about the rumors and things that were surrounding the selling out or whatever. So this very, very well clarifies some things for me. And I just want to thank you and the staff. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Frank Harley, questions or comments?
Mr. Who?
Frank Harley.
Yes, how you doing? My name is Frank Harley. I apologize. I didn't make the first meeting. So
it's okay.
I do have a comment and concern about several things in my unit.
Okay.
Like my kitchen sink, I like to be swapped out for a regular sink. I do have a mop sink in my kitchen. I do have a couple of holes need to be sealed, and the living room, also the bedroom, and I think it's a little hole in the bathroom where mice come.
Mr. Harley, I'm sorry, this is Chris Pitt. If these
How
are
you
all
doing?
maintenance requests, have you put in any work tickets at this time?
I did once before when I moved in. So
Now,
I
have
need
you
to
put
do
in?
another one, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
no problem.
we're writing it down there. We'll talk to Mr. Dixon.
Okay, I'll take that to Mr. Dixon. That's no problem.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Harley, this is Mr. Dixon. Just give me a call and I'll just check your maintenance request.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
I really appreciate the time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're muted, LaShawn.
Thank you. Jacqueline Coachman, questions or comments? All right. I don't hear from Ms. Coachman, so I'm just going to mute the line. We'll have another opportunity at the end.
I think she might have stayed muted. Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go. Is this Ms. Coachman?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jamie Smith, questions or comments?
Yes, I only have two questions. I pay, I believe the ceiling rent, flat rent, I guess that's what it's called.
Yes.
So
Yes.
my question was, once everything get converted over, with me already paying the ceiling rent, does that mean that my rent will to my income? Like, will my rent change now?
If you're paying a ceiling rent, then yes, it will change. We'd have to go through a certification to determine the rent for the deconversion. So it's kind of a long conversation, and we should have that conversation with you individually. So Ms. Powell, I don't know, would you like to, I'm not sure what the process is other than once she's confirmed that she's got a ceiling rent.
Sure. So once we're able to confirm the ceiling rent that you're currently under, once the conversion happens, there will be a calculation of the 30% through our recertification department. And then what we'll do is work to any of the difference, phase that in over 5 years. So it wouldn't go into effect right away, the difference. It would go into effect, basically over 5 years. But that won't happen until after, when we start when we actually convert and it becomes RAD. So it's a ways down the road, but we could definitely work with you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is probably a good time for me to jump in. I've been saying on the meetings what the process timeline is here. So let's say we put this application into HUD this year before the end of the year. It could take anywhere from 1.5 years to 2 years for us to convert, starting from now. So,
Okay.
okay, so it's not something that's happening right away. This is not a tomorrow kind of a thing. This is like 2 years to convert.
Okay.
Okay.
And one more question.
Sure.
When it goes through and then you bring residents back to the property, I have put in like a transfer in for a larger unit. If you've done that, will we be able to put that in play if residents do need a larger unit, or will we have to go back to the actual unit number that you have?
So one of the things we're going to do as part of the renovation and transfer is we're going to recertify your appropriate unit size and right size your apartment for your family size.
Okay.
That's part of the process too. So if you're currently right sized, not much happens. You're either going to go back to the original unit you had, or you're going to go to one that's very similar. But if you need a different unit size, that's going to be a part of the process. When you go to transfer to your temporary apartment, we'll right size you to the appropriate size apartment, and you'll go into one that's fully renovated that is also of the appropriate size for your family size.
Oh, okay. That was my only 2 questions, and you guys basically answered all of them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jerome Dindy, questions or comments?
No, everything was answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Johnny Gavin?
I have some questions that I might want to ask someone outside of this meeting.
Outside of RAD or?
Outside the meeting.
Outside the meeting.
Oh, okay. Outside of the meeting. Okay. Is it related to property management? Is it?
Oh, it's related to rents and like a couple other things.
Okay. Ms. Gav, do you want to email us your questions so that we can address them, or what is your recommendation on how we get your questions answered?
Yes, ma'am. I can do it that way. Maybe how do I do that?
Yeah, you have access to it. Are you able to provide an email or send an email? I can give you the email address and you can send us your questions.
Okay.
Okay, you can send those questions to Transformation, TRANSFORMATION.
Okay.
Plan, PLAN at dchousing.org.
Okay.
Transformation plan at dchousing.org. Yep, and we monitor that box, so we can if you put all your questions in, we can get those answers back to you.
Okay. So, and the only question I have that might be relevant, to the whole picture, is I just want to know how this will be beneficial to us, all of the people. Because what I'm saying is,
right.
A lot of times, if they renovate properties, it pushes people out, and then they can't afford to come back. So I just want to know, are people guaranteed to be able to come back to the property?
Yes, you are. So the way this is beneficial to you is we haven't been able to do the kind of real renovation we want to do at a place like Langston Terrace. The buildings need a lot of renovation work. We can't afford to do that with the current money we have from HUD. If we convert, you can stay at the property without being rescreened. Your rent is calculated the same as it is now, and we can renovate the property. So the way it benefits you is you'll have a much better living condition, and you'll still pay the same rent if it's calculated based on 30% of your adjusted income. So that's how it benefits you or your.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I mean, I comprehend. I mean, I understand that part. It was just I was talking about as far as when people having to move, and you know what I mean, because I've known people who lived in public housing and they were renovated, but they they didn't get to go back. So that's what I was talking about in reference to that part.
Right, but let me be clear. So you get the right to return. The right to return means you can come back. That's what that means.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You're muted again, LaShawn.
Sorry, thank you. I'm trying to keep out my background noise. Kenesha Brown, questions or comments?
Kenesha's OCP.
Oh, that's right. Okay, got it. Thank you. Lark Jones, questions or comments?
Yes. I just have a question about the security measures on the property. What's the plan as far as, are you going to have someone like patrolling the property due to all of the violence that takes place in Langston Terrace? I know that the police just sit in their cars and kind of patrol, I guess. But we don't have any visual people patrolling the property. And with all of these great ideas and renovations, how about our safety?
I'll start that answer. This is Alex Morris again. So one of the things we're doing, I talked about it really briefly, but you may see work crews working on Langston Terrace lately. And if you don't see them yet, you will see them very soon. We are replacing all the security cameras at the site and adding more lighting. So that's one thing we are doing, is that we're going to have more security cameras and better security cameras on the site. So if anything happens, we can record it. As far as patrols, are the patrol officers that you're seeing, are they Metropolitan Police, or are they Housing Authority, or both, or do you know?
Well, to be honest with you, if I was to see Housing Authority, anything, it's only a vehicle that's passing through. I never see any physical people walking the property, talking to the community. I don't see that. And also, MPD will sit on a block, will sit on the street, and that's it. I don't see them patrolling, walking, talking to the community, seeing what's going on, interacting. I don't see that. So are you guys, is there a greater plan, or can you take this back to your team and see if you can come up with, I appreciate the cameras, I appreciate the lights, but I'm talking about prevention.
Yeah.
So if we can go on board and see if we can really come up with a plan to prevent some things from happening, that will be great. And also, is it in you guys' plan to have a community center for jobs and training and education and things like that? Are you guys willing and open to bettering the community with more opportunities for this community? Because that's what we need.
I hear you.
The outside, the outside is great and all that good stuff, but what's the use of bringing all of these great superficial things, and we not really helping the people with education, things like that? Are we going to have a community center? Are we going to do things for the youngsters that's in the community? Are we going to upgrade this playground? Are we going to upgrade the basketball court? If you can take this back, you don't have to answer, but these are some concerns that I have.
I hear all of that. the answer to the general question is, can we do all those things by converting and getting money to do renovations? Absolutely, yes, we can. It has to all make sense financially. We have to be able to afford to operate it, but we absolutely can do that. And I'll take all your comments. We're writing them down, and we will fold them into our thinking about what we want to do going forward at Langston Terrace, and we will also give you a written response, at least a preliminary response to your comments, because I think they're all really great. And as far as physical security, I agree with you. Cameras don't stop anybody from doing anything. It only records what happened so you can go find the person later. So it doesn't prevent anything from happening. As far as patrols go, we don't have any influence over MPD, except we can ask. We can ask them to provide patrols, but they don't work for us. But we'll take that comment about security back to our own public safety, and we'll get an answer for you for that as well, whether we can do anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Lillian Anderson.
No.
Ms. Anderson, you have questions or comments?
No.
Thank you. Lenny Ross, questions or comments?
No, I'm all right with it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Margaret Preston.
No comment.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Minnie Levitt Levette, and Barbara Lott, questions, comments?
Yes. We have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Willie Payton.
Yes, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks. Questions or comments tonight?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. My question is that, my problem is that in my apartment, in my living room, and in my bathroom, and in my bedroom, the paint is literally crumbling from moisture. And my bathroom ceiling looks like it's getting ready to fall in. That's my second problem is they came out to exterminate my home about 3 weeks ago now, I think, and no one has came out to follow up on that extermination. And I'm just wondering, how long does it take for them to come back out to follow up on the extermination? Because my neighbor on both sides of me have roaches extremely bad, which gave me roaches extremely bad.
Okay, that's I think we have Mr. Pitt on the line, and Mr. Dixon can address those.
Yeah, so Ms. Payton, I would check into both of those issues to you, and Mr. Dixon will get back into you. As far as the follow-up with the pest control is based on what type of treatment they did, but I will follow up with the guy who came out tomorrow morning, and I'll get an answer for you, as well as any work orders Mr. Dixon to take down, and we'll make sure we get in your unit as soon as possible.
Okay. And my last and final question is about my rent. They got me owing money, and I don't owe them anything. I pay my rent every month. And I've been dealing with this for almost a year now. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I get it rectified? Because nobody has contacted me to let me know that they're even trying to rectify the problem.
Ms. Payton, I actually have sent something down to finance. I actually said that months ago. What they're trying to do when we changed over from one system to the other, some of the rents didn't get posted, or they didn't get pulled over from one side to the other. They're still working on your case and maybe about 10 others that I have out there. So be a little more patient with me, please, and I'll put another email into them just to see if we can get it corrected, because you're right. You pay rent every month, and you should not owe anything.
Right. All right. Thank you. Questions.
Mr. Dixon, this was Westfield again. You remember when they switched they had us going sending out 1133, and then they end up changing like the money, like some of my rent. When I sent it to 1133, and then it switched back over to the other thing. It was like they didn't. Some of my rent was recorded. It's like now when I get my rent bill, it be having a price that I know. That's why I keep all my because I had a problem with them before, so I keep all my receipts. I'm like, you know, when I look at the balance, I'm like, how old that I just. So I mean,
Miss Westfield, can we have Mr. Dixon reach out to you, offline? We just need to get through the rest of these residents that haven't had the opportunity to ask questions, okay?
I, Mr. Dixon, put me down though, Mr. Dixon. Thanks.
I have.
I'm okay. All right. Is Nicole Blackman?
ORS.
ORS, got it. Thank you. Phyllis Nance, you're unmuted. Questions or comments?
Hold on. Trying to.
Your camera's on. If you're looking for your camera, we see you.
Oh wait, where's my mute?
You're unmuted. We see you. We can hear you.
I am. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we got you.
We got you covered.
The only real question I guess I have is, like, when is my corner? Are you going to be starting in my corner? Like a ballpark.
We don't have a real plan yet for phasing. Where do you? Well, you don't have to tell us where you live, but what corner are you in? Are you down near Benning Road or where?
I'm on 24th in the corner, 24th and H.
24th and H. Okay. So we have some ideas about phasing, but we don't really have a final plan yet. So I think by the time we meet again, we may have some more to say about that strategies for phasing, but we don't have anything yet. So bear with us. We're still working through that.
Okay, and the comment is, I have a whole lot of aloe vera plants. If anybody wants them.
Okay. They're very good. They're very good for your skin. Yeah, sunburn. Yeah.
They are great plants to keep. Thank you, Miss.
Toe through the tulips, but it's tiptoe through the aloe plants I have. So.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Nance.
Thank you.
Mr. Robert Carroll. Robert Carroll. Okay. You're unmuted if you want to ask any questions or comments. Okay, we're going to Miss Robin Sewell Martin. Questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. First of all, Mr. Dixon, I hope that you get all those things straight. I like you a lot, and I feel bad for you with all the problems. I really have enjoyed living in my house that I've lived in, and I want to know, because I won't come back to this place where I'm living now, and I know that. And I know that when you replace me into a temporary place, because of my special needs, would I have to stay in that place where you put me, or can I be transferred to another place that would necessitate my things that are wrong with me, my problems? Can you understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can take it in. Because I was going to answer. We're gonna have to right size you. So more than likely, the unit that we do put you in is gonna have your accommodations that you need, and it's going to be more than likely a permanent unit.
A permanent unit?
It more than likely because you're
a permanent
phase. Because you're in the second phase of
right. I'm coming on the second
addition.
phase.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
I'm coming in the second phase.
We haven't really
so
reached.
We haven't
really reached that. We
okay, and
we really haven't got all the way into the second phase yet on who's going to be right sides and who's going to be left and everything else. So that's probably going to happen a couple months down the road now, because we're still waiting for the first phase to get started. So we still have a little time, and that way we'll be able to really accommodate you on what you need, because I'm not sure, but you need to contact me about a reasonable accommodation too, because I'm not sure if you ever put one in.
Right. I really haven't. So that's what I said. I figured that I would have to talk to you personally about what I can get when I leave here, because I'm not looking forward to coming back because I can't use the steps like I used to. And so I would like to get something that is on a level where I can, you know, maintain my mobility. So I can call you, Mr. Dixon.
Okay, Martin.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and okay, just do that and I'll return your call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Okay, next we have Ms. Rosemary Bush.
Yes, good evening, good afternoon.
Good evening.
I just have two brief questions. One is when you were mentioning about the programs in Southwest, the work education or for homeownership, do I have the right person for Mr. Wilson's number? And
yeah, so right. I'll put that in the chat so that we can refer to it.
Oh, we can repeat it actually too that way. I think, and Mr. Wilson, I think, is on the line. If he can repeat his number that way, just in case you're not able to see the video chat.
yeah, well, I was running low on my battery, so I switched over to the regular.
Okay.
On my
Mr.
phone.
Wilson, are you still there with us?
Mr.
Okay.
Julian Wilson.
Yes, I thought I had, and I wrote it down. I was just checking to make sure.
Oh, I'll give it to you. I'll give it.
Okay.
Do you have a pen? I'll give it to you.
Yeah, well, I have 734-8602. Is that
Yep.
correct for you?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and that's at the Southwest location, though, right?
I don't know where Mr. Wilson works out of.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
the Southwest Enhancement Center is a facility we run to do training programs and homeownership and other things. But if you call him, he'll call you back.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing, I noticed that you did mention the 12 properties. I had heard that it was other than just Langston Terrace.
Yeah.
We had a recent deceased brother-in-law. Is Garfield under one of the properties that you had? Because that's what they had mentioned. That's what was mentioning, I should say.
Okay, so we haven't done resident meetings at Garfield in a while. We did meetings there last summer, and we haven't been back since. So we're focusing on a few other things right now. You may have heard.
On here with for Langston, the addition. I was under the impression that is in one of the 12 other properties that the RAD program would be addressing also.
We have talked about, for Garfield, but we're actually focusing right now on Judiciary House and LeDroit Senior and Langston Additions and Langston Terrace.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. It's very informative. I appreciate it so much. So other than that, that was the only question. Very explanatory. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Bush. Shirley Richards, any questions or comments?
No questions or comments.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sophia Williams, questions or comments?
No questions or comments.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Stanley Lightfoot, questions or comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, the young lady that spoke about the people in the halls urinating in all around the building, and I agree totally with her. She knows exactly what she's talking about, and they should start listening to some of these people, And as far as the molding, and I had that problem. I spoke about it last month. I got molding in my bedroom. The door is coming off the hinges. It may fall on me one day, and that's a lawsuit. Now, the bathroom is the toilet. Every time I wonder where's all this water coming from. I got to keep mopping every day. Now I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't make any sense that it continues to go on and nobody is being answered. You understand? I know you got a one-man band running the show, but it needs some help. Now they brought in those Hispanic brothers who painted all around here. They did a good job, I believe. Get another group of them to come and serve as these, like my situation. It shouldn't take two people an hour to do it. So if they work 8 hours a day, they got 8 units they can go into. And if you got 2 other people, they got 8 units. How many units are in this area? So you can't help but believe it's some. And I heard the people speak of Mr. Dixon and how they like him. But see, this is not personal. This is big, and somebody should get real. That's why the country going like it's going. Because we got a brother lying to us. Not a brother, you understand, but a fool lying to us constantly. And people believing it. You people hate to be lied to. When you say, I'm going to take care of it, I got it, but in your heart, you don't have it. You understand? So we got to come up with a plan. That's all it takes. Sit down and come up with a plan. Use some of your people who are telling you what's happening, be a part of the plan. I asked years ago about them putting locks on these doors, and that lady's right. You have to step over people to get to your apartment. You come in on the steps, the whole mob smoking. And so, you just can't keep ignoring this. People getting killed out here and everything, right? Drive-bys, and you don't know when it's your turn, And so, like they talk about the police, the Metropolitan Police, they be out there sitting there, they watching, and they do defer people from like they used to be. It's not out there like they used to be because of these cars. Now, I remember when I was young, they had street walkers on the beat, police that would walk. Now, it's not too much you can ask or request the government, the mayor, you want beat cops to walk the beat or ride the bike around the perimeter of this place. And that would solve a lot of problems. Also, I continue to ask and request that they put locks on these doors. I just saw a young lady this morning, ma'am, and I'm not going to take up much of time, but it's a building they built over there on 20th and Benning Road, right? They got 9 units in it, and it's for low income and everybody. And I asked her how she get in. She got 3 bedrooms, washing machine and dryer, and she got 3 children, and she is just as happy as she could be. And I said, how you get that? She said her social worker got her in there. The senior citizen and everything. And I'm quite sure they got a lot of these buildings all around now. So, if they do, tell me. You can't tell me anybody else. Tell me. But that's that. I just think some of the people that had some great things that they said. And they were serious about it. You could hear their voices. And they telling the truth. Get somebody over here, lock these windows so they can't open them.
Gotcha.
You understand? And make sure a maintenance man come in here in these halls, wash them. I mean, mop them. I said that before. We had a young lady here, she mopped every hall in the every day diligently.
Mr. Lightfoot, we agree with it. We agree with what you're saying, and there's been some great comments tonight. This has been a really good meeting to get a lot of feedback, and I think that we're going to have a lot to work with.
Absolutely, and we're definitely taking note of these concerns and these comments, especially the ones that we hear on the regular from multiple residents. So we will take them back and address them properly.
Yeah, let's try to lock these doors up.
Okay.
Or get a code where they can buzz themselves in, or it can happen.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere.
We got it. Thank you very much.
So much for your feedback. I remember you did have some of the same feedback last meeting, so thank you. We're going to make sure we're on top of it.
Oh, one more thing. Give me the phone number to who I can call in reference to my doors, the toilet, and that wall with the mold.
Okay,
I
that
can
would be
handle that.
that would be Mr. Dixon.
No, give me a phone number to who I can call downtown who will come here and fix my apartment like it should be. I don't want to wait till Christmas or, till you start your project. Yeah, matter of fact, these halls need to be painted. The floors. Certain things can be done to make people proud to live here.
Okay.
And see that something is getting done. Their demands are being met. That's all they're asking.
We got it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
This meeting, right?
Say it one more time, Mr. Lightfoot.
You'll have another meeting next month, right?
I don't know if it'll be next month, but it'll be soon. We'll have another meeting.
Whatever. We're gonna remember this conversation.
Okay.
You know what, and what we'll do is when you get the follow-up documentation, similar to how we updated the presentation this time, when you get the follow-up documentation, we'll update and provide a recap of all of the comments that were collected, all the work order requests, and we'll allow property management to give an update on where they are with all of those requests so that you all will have documentation of that.
The thing is, if these things get accomplished before the next meeting, everybody be happy to listen to you and hear you and can believe and trust in you. That's all. You make it easier on yourself.
We agree. We know. We got it. We're gonna make sure. We're gonna make sure to respond to this. Thank
You
you,
didn't give me the phone number though.
Mr. Pitt.
Yeah, you want Mr. Pitt, do you want to provide your telephone number?
Yeah.
I'm still here. 202 446
446.
Yep.
You said 446. Hello.
221.
Sir.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Mr. Pitt, you're breaking up. What's the last four?
I got 202 446.
26. I'm in a bad area. I'm sorry. 6221.
Thank you. 6221.
6221. Okay.
That was Mr. Christopher Pitt.
Now, next, I got one thing. Next meeting after that, depending on how the response we get, we're going to be, maybe we have to get I hate to say this. No, man, I'm going to leave that alone. Just thank you for listening to me, and I hope we have better things happening in the future.
Agreed. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and meet you back, Mr. Lightfoot. And then I have a miss or a T, someone that has logged in with the letter T. You're unmuted. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do have a comment. A couple of questions. What are some of the properties you guys are going to be utilizing to relocate some of the residents? That's the first question.
Yeah, I'll take that. So at Langston Additions currently, we're doing work there in a phased renovation. We're about to start building A, and we're doing what we call it's a modified in-place rehab. We're moving people to units at Langston Addition, and we're also moving people into other units at Langston Terrace. And when the building A is finished, the folks who are in the right size unit will go back to their apartment in building A. So when we do Langston Terrace, we're looking to do something very similar. We have a stock of vacant units at Langston Terrace that we are going to work on next year to make units ready for temporary relocation, to move people out of where they are and into a temporary unit. And we're doing that so that we can get a phase one of rehab units already set up and ready. We don't know exactly where that phase will be yet, but the plan is to get a whole bunch of units ready for temporary moves at Langston Terrace next year. Okay, so when you move, you're not going to leave the Langston neighborhood. You're going to stay right in the complex, but you'll just be in a different apartment. That's the plan.
Okay, next question is, how long will the renovation process take? Will it be 6 months, a year? How long will it be to fully fix up the units and you'll be able to move back?
What we'd like to do is we'd like to do a whole building at a time. Take each building and gut rehab it from top to bottom. and it'll probably take anywhere between 6 to 8 months per building to do that. So once we get the whole building done, we'll get the certificate of occupancy from DCRA, and then everybody will be able to move back in. Figure about 8 months at this point. That's my estimate.
Okay, I appreciate that. My next thing is a comment. I believe I've been listening to a lot of the residents' concerns, and I believe what the residents really want, they want the DC Housing Authority police officers to be able to sweep and patrol the property. I know MPD, they have their functions, but it's the DC Housing Authority's police department's job to come and sweep the apartments and get out trespassers and people that are unlawfully occupying spaces there. So I think that's what the people want. They want the DC Housing Authority police to do their job and to patrol the property, get out of their cars and, clear these stairwells, get people from out of there smoking and doing whatever they're doing. So I think that's what the people want.
Yeah, we heard that loud and clear, and we're going to report that back to ops, to public safety.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's everything I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tanya Jones.
Oh my gosh. Hello.
Hi.
Yes. Hi. Okay, I do have some quick questions. Number one, I don't see 24th Street on the property site plan. Is that building C or phase 5 or I was just curious.
For Langston Terrace or Langston Addition?
Langston, I guess it's Terrace. I live in the building.
Terrace.
So.
Yeah. I'm going to put the screen back up so that we can look at that. And I can.
It would be nice if you could blow it up in your next flyer because I can't see that well.
I can't either. I'm getting older and I can't either. So I'll make sure we make it better. So can you see the screen? Are you looking at?
No, I'm on.
Oh, you're not.
My
Okay.
cell phone. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry. So I put it back on the screen. 24th Street is on the east side of Langston Terrace. And I'm running, for those of you that are looking at the screen, it's on the east side. It's where there's 3 buildings right up against the edge of that magenta red line.
The last 2, the purple and green and.
That's right. That's where that is.
Okay, so it would be, okay, I get that. Okay, that's number 1.
Okay.
And I had another question. As far as other people coming into after the RAD is approved and everything is done, will they need a Section 8 voucher to come into Langston Terrace or whatever it's going to be called then?
No, they will not. Okay. Yeah, no, they won't. They won't because the subsidy is a project-based voucher. So basically, HUD's got 2 different types of vouchers. There's a voucher that's a tenant voucher, which is something you hold as a resident, and you take that. This is a project-based voucher, so we can rent these units with a subsidy from HUD through Section 8, and somebody comes in and we certify their rent. They pay the 30% of their adjusted gross income, and then the voucher covers the balance of the cost.
So it's like an in-house Section 8.
It's a building-based Section 8.
I get that. And there was another question I had about the lights and the security system. It would be nice, just one comment or suggestion, if the buildings or each unit had an emergency call box, like you could call 911 instead of having just that basic one in the hallway. Maybe that's mandatory or whatever. But if each unit had their own emergency call box, some people can't use their phone and call 911 or whatever.
Yep.
I think
I made it. We made a note of that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And the lighting outside the building, well, I won't tell you where I live at, but the lighting, the light is full of bugs. So you can't, when the light comes on, it's like, like a shadow instead of that bright light. So if they could clean those things and get the bugs out, so, I think the lights would come on and shine brighter, because they come on when you enter the building.
Got
And
it.
when you enter it now, it's like a dull light, and I'm getting old, I can't see. I need,
Okay. Yeah. We'll make a note of that. We'll get someone out to look at that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And also, I think I heard you say that once it is RAD, so we will still have the same employees, or the DCHA employees will still be making the units, or will it be under a different contract, or?
So that's one of those things that we're going to have to work out. But it is our intention as of right now to have DCHA manage and maintain the site. That is our intention.
Because we're used to our employees.
Yeah. Right.
They're like family, and I think that would help us, if they stayed, and,
Yeah. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Jones.
Yeah. So
Well,
that's it. That's
yeah.
my questions. And thank you. It was a long day, but I thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we appreciate you all holding on and staying on the line to make your comments and concerns and questions heard. I am just going to open it up to anyone that has been omitted, that did not get a chance to ask a question. You can unmute yourself. There are 2 lines here of folks that I did not call on. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. And if you have any questions, just please feel free to ask. The 2 lines that are unmuted, you have the floor. It's the 202-492 area code 202-492 and area code 202-594.
492 already had a comment.
Okay, 492 already had the comments. Thank you so much. All right, and then 594. All right. Thank you all. And in the interest of time, because it is going on 2.5 hours here. So we are going to, if you have any additional questions, we know that some of you may think of questions after the meeting. Please send an email to transformationplan@dchousing.org for any questions that you may have. You can send those in and we will respond back to you pretty promptly, or you may leave a voicemail at 202-996-8526. That voicemail box is checked daily and we can address any concerns there as well. As mentioned before, we will do a follow-up documentation in terms of providing you with the question and answers that were asked today, and any that come in through that inbox. We'll also provide a recap from property management in terms of some of the concerns that we heard today regarding mold and the light and security. So we will be providing some of those updates in our documentation and any other information regarding next steps. So we thank you for your time. Thank you for holding on with us for a long meeting. And Alex, do you have any closing remarks before we dismiss?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone who stayed with us for this meeting, because I think we got a lot of really great feedback. It's hard to hear, but I think we need to hear it, and I think we need to take it very seriously and bring it back to the team at DCHA and make sure that all of this gets addressed or folded into our renovation plans. And I really want to thank everyone for their honest feedback. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, DCHA staff that hung on with us, and Mary Kate for helping with the attendance tonight, as always. You all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.